Well, hello and welcome to today's Material Musings. I hope you are well and thank you for joining me. Thank you and welcome to all the new subscribers to the channel.
Welcome to Material Musings, where the fabrics tell their tales. Eco-dyed colors from the garden, slow stitches where the heart exhales. Painting cloth and weaving stories, wall hangings blooming bright. Come create with Amanda, where your creativity takes flight.
Material Musings is my way of delighting in the fabric and textile projects that I find myself doing or being attracted to, or sometimes you just get an inspiration, and today is one of those days. I wanted to share with you some projects which might give you some inspiration to do some work with textiles and fabrics yourself. So look at this one. This is so I can knit and crochet, but in terms of knitting I've only knitted kind of squares, and with crochet it's a similar sort of thing. I don't kind of make clothes, but I make flowers and shapes and wearable art. Why not? So I'm going to show you a few things that I've done with the crochet, and we're going to look at other things as well to inspire you. Fabric beads, different types of fabric beads, paper beads, what you can do to transform them as well. And we're just going to, it's just going to be a short session so that you can then dive into your own supplies. And just remember to use what you have. Yeah, you don't have to go out and buy anything, but it's about looking at something and seeing what else can you do with it. And I'll give you again some examples of that. Anyway, so yeah, this is I think I quite like it. I haven't yet worn it out, so who knows, maybe an event, and I'll do myself some earrings as well to match. Anyway, so let's get on, and thank you for joining me. Welcome. So this is the necklace that I was wearing that is crochet, and here's a wrist cuff that I also made, and I will show you this in a minute. Let's just look at this. We can come in a bit closer. So this, I was experimenting with flowers that I had not recently, I guess in the last few years, taught myself how to read a crochet pattern, because in the past it was just, triple, I don't know, triple stitch or whatever. I kind of experimented with it in my mind and then realized, oh, this is an actual stitch. So the main thing with this is the flowers. So I made lots of flowers, and then I had these buttons. I collect loads of different things, and you never know when they're going to come in handy, and they always do. So and then I made this bit for the necklace to fit on, and I wanted it to be a bit more kind of blingy, but not too overly and so I had these glass beads that I attached, and I really love the look. And it's just a simple button to clasp it, yeah, and it's quite soft. This is wool, but it's not it doesn't scratch my skin. It normally does if certain types of wool. Anyway, and this is the acrylic one, and then that's how it looks on the back. So nobody's ever going to see the back unless you're see-through. Don't know why I said that. Anyway, so yeah, so that's that, and that's really the first one that I've made. I've made others that can potentially find themselves as a kind of a necklace. So this one is made with a whole load of different wool. This was woven actually, and then I added beads and these kind of beads at the end. I haven't yet done a, so I would probably, yeah, so let me just finish that sentence. So I haven't yet done a mechanism for it to go around your neck, but what I would do is fold this over and stitch that and then put something in there. So it would be like, you know, a hanging choker. Yeah? So they're, you know, kind of really straightforward to make. I'll show you some of the flowers that I've made over time as well, and they're just waiting for something to use them for. But again, this takes the shape of different flowers. There's I think either 2 or 3 flowers here. I'm not too happy with the mechanism that I've got for you know, clasping it. It's just this button here. It's just a bit awkward to put on. But let's come in. Come in. Move closer. Yeah, that's good. Look at that. It's lovely in it. So I've got all of my favourite beads and I gathered them and started to attach them. I do like those pieces that have beads, and I just went to town. Like, I'm looking at this and thinking, oh my gosh, how did I even make this? But it was just time, just taking time, looking at what you had. I've been collecting beads over the years and, you know, just adding them, and I use some of the beads around the petals. That's why they look like that. I didn't do those two. Yeah, and then I've just used the metal beads here. And then we've got little clusters. So it's kind of seeing how you are inspired and where you can take it. So for this week, I'll be one of the Inspiration Squad members on Fodder School 5. And we've been experimenting with fabrics. So I've done a lot of kind of, you know, adding marks to fabric and looking at how you can then use them. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'll put a link below. You'll see some of these in there. And then we're going to, this is a favourite one of mine. I just love the colour, but it's wax resist, and then I've gone over top and stamped it. It's wax resist initially with clay, just from my garden, and then I've dyed it with a commercial dye, and I just love the combination of colours. Anyway, so you will see some of the things that I do over the course of the month. If you know, check me out on Instagram, you'll see. Or if you're in my mailing list, I'll be sending out emails about it. But I'll show you this to show you that if you've got any scraps, like I always keep a bag of scraps that I would use over time, and you think to yourself, well, you know, like, what am I going to do with all these little bits? You know, what is there to what is there to do? So I'm going to show you, and all you need to do is just keep them in a bag and think about, you know, and it doesn't matter the size, because at some point even some of the smallest bits will come in handy, especially if you're into miniature. So I'm into miniature and creating small things. So let me just show you a few things to whet your appetite. Right, so I think one of the first things I'll show you is the beads. So if you've got fabric scraps, you can make all of these gorgeous, look at these, look at some of them. And what I've done is, there's some, the larger ones I've added glass beads to, yeah. So these are all made from fabric scraps, and they can all go onto projects. And you know, some have got beads. I've used scrap pieces of yarn that you may have. So any of those fabric scraps, you can save them, and that then becomes, you know, there's one that's waiting, so it can be something like that. It can go around the middle, you know. You just have to experiment. Yeah, so I've done large ones, small ones, ones with beads, ones without. These are probably my favorite ones in terms of the size. And you can use a straw as the inside, and then wrap them and then stitch them. So that's what most of these size ones have got, the straw as the inner thing. These ones are, I don't know whether you know the fabric bandage that you would get, so if you break your hand, but you can also use that. I use that in craft activities. So in the middle, oh no, that's not what's in the middle of that one, is it? No, that's not what's in the middle of that. In the middle of the fabric bandage is this plastic kind of thing that it's wrapped around. And so I wrap like fabric, or this is yarn, or like I've got one here that I've added to, I've added fabric and cloth, then I've painted it, and then I've added it to some burlap, and you can see the beads on there. That's one of my favourite. And then I've used the yarn that I've used to do some slow stitching before I've put the beads on. I really love that look. So that was that. But this is, let me think what this is. I've got a dog, and so he's got the poop bags, and in the middle of the poop bags there's a plastic tube, and so I've just recycled it. Yeah, okay. And okay, so you know, you can make lots of gorgeous beads that way. Let me show you some others. This is from a small paper tube. So if you roll the paper, yeah, just roll some paper. This is from a magazine. Again, you're recycling, you're reusing, you're making something into something gorgeous. And I've wrapped it with, again, scrap fabric. I think this was a curtain. And what I'm going to do with these is add beads. So I've got a few here. It's just old curtain that I had stripped and crocheted together, so that you know, it was just a bit more chunky. So that's that. And then the other thing I did, so these are these paper beads were cut, so I used like half this size in there, yeah. And then I've made some larger ones, and I really like the look of these. And all these need, so this is this full length paper tube, and again I've taken the scraps and just thought, okay, let me start sticking. And these have been stuck with just a glue gun, and then I'm gonna wrap it with some additional fabric and start doing some small stitches, get some yarn, get some beads, and then you've got like some nice larger beads, if you know, depending on what project you're working on, that or you can add some yeah, some large wooden beads, whatever beads that you have that you want to add to the project. But what you need to do initially is, if you've stuck it with a glue gun, it's going to be quite hard to try and get a needle through. So you need to then put another kind of thin layer of either fabrics that you want to wrap, or I would then just use yarn. So this kind of yarn, and wrap it really well, but you'll still be able to see some of the fabrics that we've got going on in here. Yeah, so that's another way in which you can use your the fabric scraps. Yeah, but I'll show you some additional things that you can do. Okay, so here are just a selection of some of the crocheted flowers that I've done, and I've kind of gone through certain stages of being inspired and leaving them and then coming back and adding to them, and it's using the sort of like wool yarn, and then like just the acrylic, you know, man-made fibers yarn. And so some, like, I kind of went further, and this is supposed to be like a flower with the leaves. Here's some of the leaves. And then, yeah, I just kind of, I was making the flowers and then looking at the yarn and how I can put it together. And this, it doesn't look, I'm not sure what was going on here and whether I've just pinned it. Have I just pinned this? Yeah, so, oh right, okay. I was thinking, I'm sure I didn't just stitch it on like this. Anyway, so, yeah, we've got those kinds of flowers, and then we've got these larger ones that I started experimenting with. I really like these ones. But I you know, I was just making, and I wasn't thinking about, okay, this is going to be used for a particular thing. And that's really how I kind of work for a lot of the things. It's just like I get kind of inspired to do something, and then I think, okay, I'm just kind of so totally absorbed with it. And also just kind of perfecting, you know, the kind of, like, when I started making the flowers, I wanted to, let's just come in a bit, I wanted to kind of perfect the look of the flowers, and then, you know, clump them together, see what colours look nice together. Like, I really like this blue, and I don't even think I've got any more of this left. And I was looking at this green, I'm thinking, I really like that as well. I haven't got that left. The ones that I've got left are the purple, I've got a blue glittery one, and, you know, quite a few others. So then starting to kind of, okay, I've got loads of buttons, what can I do with them, put them together. I've added beads to some of these ones. And it's just to encourage you to say, you know, you might start something and you might have to put it down, walk away and come back. And you never know when you come back that an idea sparks and you can make use of them. Or, you know, you can, you know, make a bag, or, I don't know, make something. And then these were ones, again, I really like this yarn. And just started, I like the way the flowers held their shape, and so, yeah, I think these were probably my favourites. This one is similar to this kind of fabric. Right, let me see what else. And then just these other ones that I then just, you know, was playing around and perfecting, trying to perfect. And then just, I think these were probably early ones. And then I saw this one and I was just like, I tried to make one out of this, but this isn't, I mean, you can, you know, obviously it's a flower shape, but I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? I would like to wrap, this is something that I would take to wrap the bead, this bead that I've just made. So I'm going to dismantle it and then add some smaller glass beads in there. So that's what I'm going to use that for. And then I, as I say, you know, the neck piece of the flower, what do you call it, necklace. So I made quite a few of these, started, you know, seeing how I wanted, like I like this one. So it isn't until you kind of practice with a few, so this one I've actually started to add beads on, but I think this was going to be a wrist cuff, like so. But yeah, I really like this shape, and I really like what's going on here with this one. And this is probably going to be, it might be a wrist cuff, it could be a wrist cuff, or I would have to add additional pieces to make it into a necklace. But you can see where I've dropped a stitch there and here. So again, the basic outline of what you want to make, and then you just, you know, do it again. And, you know, it was working through those that, you know, got me to this stage where I've kind of perfected I made the bit that would go around your neck, and then I've added these kind of bits as well. Yeah? So that's how the kind of flowers started out, and you know, this is what it's led to with the necklaces, neck pieces, and now I've seen them, I'm going to look at doing something with these. Again, you know, a wrist cuff, a ring, maybe? No. So let's see how I've moved the beads on, and some of the things that I've done with the beads. Okay, so let us look at some of the ways I've used the beads. I mean, they're similar, all similar, but I've used them in projects with, this is a woven, this is rolled paper, yeah, to make the frame, and then I've added fabric and done some weaving on there, yeah. So this is all painted fabric. So it's, yeah, like a mini frame. Again, recycled, using recycled paper. This is cardboard actually, and it gives it a nice solid feel. So used painted fabric and woven it, and then with the beads I've joined, like there's 4 beads on each side, and it's supposed to be like some sort of hanging system. I think what I would like to add is some more elements, so I might take either some larger beads, or maybe, you know, like the leather pieces that I was working on, that, ooh, yeah, one of the faces I could put here, and then put a proper hanging system. So this isn't finished, it would need to be finished. And then, ooh, yeah, add one of the leather faces. Okay, I found some additional larger beads there as well. And oh, I found this. It was a rock that I found in the garden, and I wrapped it and then started weaving in here as well. So I would like to see it finished. Look at this side. This looks pretty, doesn't it? It's amazing how, you know, what you can, in terms of weaving, I'm not like an expert. We have a wonderful weaver, Sylvester Ade Clark, who I will link his channel so you can see some of the things that he creates. It's just really brilliant. But this is just my own kind of, I've been inspired, let me try something. And yeah, but that's a nice way to use up, again, I'm using up yarn, I'm going into nature. I painted the rock like metallic, and this can make either a nice, it's too heavy to maybe be a like pendant kind of thing, but it can go into a creative project. Anyway, so let's quickly look at some of these. So what I did was make some that they can be mini journal bags. So these are fabrics that were dyed and then stitched. This is wax resist. This effect here is just me splashing something. I think I spilt some water, and I hadn't realised. Then it dried the sun, and it just like, okay, so it still looks cool. But I've taken the beads, the fabric, and made beads. So it's the same fabric, and I think they coordinate quite well. So I just made quite a few of them. I then, got into quite a little flow of making these mini journal bags, or they could be like for your credit card, I guess, your card, or put it around your neck, because I've got these tabs here. I put this there just to give an idea that it could be, you could hold it like a bag, or you could put it around your neck, and so it could be a decorative piece around your neck. Oh, this will go with, where's my, so it's using some of the beads, but that I've used on here. This is my kind of necklace that I made. But yeah, so you can take the beads themselves. Here's a mini journal that I've got in here, and you've got the beads there. So again, just using the fabrics that you gather, the scrap fabrics that you gather, and then turning some into beads and then coordinating them. Yeah? So that is the inspiration for today, and I look forward for the rest of the month to be sharing some of the projects I'm going to be working on, whether it's one project I see all the way through, or like I might take up, like I've been making these. I'm doing some other projects with the paper tubes, and I'm excited to look at those projects, but you have to make the tubes first. But yeah, look at how I can like decorating them and then using them in the length that they are, because this, you can put thread through it and it could be like a long hanging bead. You could cut them if you wanted to, but I would probably, cut them. It's probably easier to cut them first and then work on them than it is like once they've got all the wrapped and the additions. So I'll probably be making a few more of these, I think, because they're, really economical. It uses all your scraps, and you make something really pretty. And it can, as I say, you can put thread through it, you can stick it to projects like that as is. Yeah, anyway, so be inspired, take care for now, and I look forward to seeing what you get up to for the rest of the month. And do pop in, say hello, come and check out what I'm doing on Instagram as well, some of the projects that I've been inspired to make with the new fodder school teacher for June, Roxanne Stout. Okay, so take care for now, and I will see you again soon.